Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mureli from Africa Renaissance. And today I want us to talk about one of the most significant countries in Africa. And the country is the DRC, which is the Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly the Republic of Zaire. So the DRC is one of the most significant and consequential countries in the continent. And the reason I say this is because of a number of factors. And first and foremost, it is the country with, I think, one of the biggest land masses, especially in the sub-Saharan part of Africa. And I think it is second, in the African continent. So the DRC has a land mass of more than 2 million kilometers square. And the 2 million kilometers square, this is very fertile and it is productive land. So it can be utilized, for the benefit of the continent so that we produce sufficient food, so that we don't have to import food from other countries. And the second point is about minerals, The DRC is endowed with some of the most valuable minerals in this world, be it oil, be it cobalt. Yeah? And when we talk about cobalt, as you know, the whole world is moving towards the adoption of electric energy so that we can prevent over reliance on oil, because of course, as you know, oil causes a lot of pollution to the environment, and so the world is pushing for clean energy, and this is one of the reasons and factors that makes the DRC one of the most important states, because they have a lot of cobalt in that country. And the other factor is that this country, the DRC, has a huge and youthful population. So if the government, comes up with a way of utilizing, the talents of these people and the huge, young population, of course, it is going to be one of the most consequential countries in Africa, not only in Africa, but also in the world. And now that I have listed all those factors, it is without a doubt that the potential of this country is so huge, and it has, the capabilities of changing the African continent. And due to the potential of this country, of course, there are some Western colonial states, imperialist states, which would not want to see the DRC being a stable country, because they understand very well that if the country continues to be stable, it is going to reduce the influence of the Western imperialist states in the African continent. So these countries have done everything and are doing everything, to conspire to make sure that the DRC is in a constant state of instability and anarchy. And one thing that we have to realize is that these Western states, they always pinpoint one of the African countries and use it as a proxy, to destabilize the DRC. And the reason why I say this is because there has been many accusations and counter-accusations, not only by the DRC politicians, but also this week I saw that the Human Rights Watch, indicated that they unraveled various mass graves in the eastern part of the DRC. This is in the Kivus, in areas which were previously controlled by the M23. And as you know, the M23 is a rebel movement which is supported by the Republic of Rwanda. Yeah. So there has been various mass graves in the eastern part of the country. And let us not forget about the mass, displacement of people, because there has been more than 1 million people who have been displaced from the eastern part of the country. And so this has caused a lot of suffering, to the people of that region. And we need to find a solution. And now, my question is, now that we know that the Western states, in their attempts to destabilize an African country, they use a proxy state like Rwanda and President Kagame, to cause a lot of killings, displacements and stuff like that. Yeah. So how should we deal with some of these states? Because initially, I used to think that President Kagame and the regime in Rwanda was very progressive, I thought they meant well for the continent. But seeing how many times they have invaded the DRC and in essence preventing the DRC from realizing its potential, and liberating the African continent economically. And when that happens, obviously all of us Africans are going to benefit. So what about these African politicians who are very short-sighted, and don't want neighboring states to experience peace? Yeah, how do you deal with such politicians? This is a rhetorical question that I'm asking, but what I believe is that African countries should and must always be united. And if there are some politicians and people who are causing division between African countries, I think they should be ostracized, because we need unity for us to overcome all the adversities that face the African continent, and there are many. As you know, we have enemies all over the globe. So there is a need for us to be united and make sure that we see to it that this continent becomes prosperous, so that we live even to the prosperity successful states, and they don't have to struggle in the same manner that we have struggled. So that's all for today. I request you to subscribe to this channel, Africa Renaissance, and if you want to see more of this type of content. Okay, goodbye.